Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is Maj Mahalla Tija. Aap Vannjae, ta Sabh Kich Paae, Gur Sabdi Sachi Livilai, Sach Vannjae, Sach Sangrah, Sach Vapar Karamaniya. How wari jio wari, har gun andan gavaniya. How tera tu thakur mera, sabad vadiyai devaniya rahao. Vela vakt sabe suhaya, jit sacha mere man paya. Sache seviye sach vadiyai, gur kirpa te sach pavaniya. Pao bhojan Satgur tutthe paaye, an ras chukੈ, har ras man vasaye. Sach santokh, sahaj sukh bani, pure gur te pavaniya. Satgur na sevੈ, ਮੂਰਖ ਅੰਧ ਗਵਾਰਾ, ਫਿਰ ਓਏ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਪਾਇਣ ਮੋਖ ਦੁਆਰਾ. ਮਰ ਮਰ ਜੰਮਹਿ, ਫਿਰ ਆਵੈ, ਜਮਦਰ ਝੋਟਾ ਕਾਵਣਿਆ. ਸਬਦੇ ਸਾਧ ਜਨ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਆਪ ਪਛਾਣੈ, ਨਿਰਮਲ ਬਾਣੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਖਾਣੈ. ਸੱਚੇ ਸੇਵ ਸਦਾ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਇਨ, ਨਾਉ ਨਿਦ ਨਾਮ ਮਨ ਵਸਾਵਣਿਆ. ਸੋ ਥਾਨ ਸੁਹਾਇਆ ਜੋ ਹਰ ਮਨ ਭਾਇਆ, ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਬਹਿ ਹਰ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਇਆ. ਅਣ ਦਿਨ ਹਰ ਸਲਾਹੈ ਸਾਚਾ, ਨਿਰਮਲ ਨਾਦ ਵਜਾਵਣਿਆ. ਮਨਮੁਖ ਖੋਟਾ ਰਾਸ ਖੋਟਾ ਵਾ ਸਾਰਾ, ਕੂੜ ਕਮਾਵਨ ਦੁਖ ਲਾਗੇ ਭਾਰਾ. ਭਰਮੈ ਭੂਲੇ ਫਿਰਨ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤੀ, ਮਰ ਜਨਮਹਿ ਜਨਮ ਗਵਾਵਣਿਆ. ਸੱਚਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮੈਂ ਅਤ ਪਿਆਰਾ, ਪੂਰੇ ਗੁਰ ਕੈ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਧਾਰਾ. ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਮਿਲੇ ਵਡਿਆਈ, ਦੁੱਖ ਸੁਖ ਸਮ ਕਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ. Composed by Guru Amar Das in Ragmaj. It begins with an assertion. Aap Vannjae, ta Sabh Kich Paae. Lose your ego and find yourself. Sabh Kich means all-encompassing. And here it is a signifier for the all-encompassing self, the creator. So lose yourself to find yourself. That really is the assertion. Lose. Gur sabdi sachi liv laye, sach vannjae, sach sangrah, sach vapar karavaniya. Here he's using trader language to actually describe the life of those who, through devotion and attention to Gur wisdom, Gur Sabdi, have become intuitively aware of Hukam, such livilai. And then one's life is lived in harmony with Hukam, such Vannjae, such Sangrah, such Vapar Karavaniya. We have to remember that he was a trader himself and a banker, so it's not surprising that he should use the analogy of trading to indicate that one's conduct and dealings should be truthful and honest, without bias and prejudice. So in other words, you shouldn't be investing in counterfeit. Your trading practices should not be deceptive. And that's how we should understand that within our own lives. And to such a life, salutations, because it is worthy of adoration. How wari jio wari, har gun andan gavaniya, because it is infused with virtue and is in harmony with Hukam. Gun andan gavaniya literally means singing the praise. It means continuous glorification. And so it stands to reason that Singing continuously means to live, where awareness of the master self and the slave, meaning us, is understood, intuitively understood, where we recognize that the master and slave are really one. How tera tu thakur mera. This realization should dawn when the mind connects with the Shabad. a-sabad-a-day devaniya. That is the gift that we get, the gift of intuitive awareness. And so, through devotion and service to the benevolent enlightener, having found the self, the mind is harmonized, life is agreeable and pleasant. Vela vakt sabbe suhaya jit sacha mere man paya. And then now he speaks in terms of consumption, food. Pao pojan Satgur Tuthe Paae. So the instruction of the enlightener, he says, Satgur Tuthe, when the Satgur is pleased, at its pleasure, fills the mind with the food of love, Pao Pojan, Pao meaning love. Then cravings and addictions give way to love of the self, anaras, other tastes, referring here to our afflictions, to the prevarications of the mind, are lost then, and one is filled with love. And here he offers a contrast, as he always does, with those who do not tune in to the true enlightener. They remain spiritually blind, andh, foolish, murak, and uninformed gawara. Satgur na seva, murkh andh gawara. Fir oy kitthon paen mokh dwara. How can they find the door of liberation then, when they are not connected with the enlightener? And what happens to them? Mar mar jamme, fir aave, jamdar chota khavane. Now, mar jamme, fir aave, this terminology recurs frequently in Gurbani, and we've spoken about this as being the metaphysical construct of Gurbani, metaphysical principles that are the framework where there is this idea of a long cycle of creation, destruction, sustenance. But how does this apply to us in our daily lives? Mar jamme, to die every moment, simply means that one is condemned to fail again and again. So those who are self-willed, who do not connect with wisdom, that is to say, who are acting out of selfishness, will find frustration strewn along their path, because any activity will create a certain amount of friction. It's natural. But if you don't have the wisdom to remove that friction, it is going to cause frustration. And that is what is meant by mar jamme fir aave, repetition. You keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again, the same toxic path. And jamdar chota khavanaya, it only results in frustration. Jamdar, jam means death, but it also means time, at the door of death, meaning where we are today, in time. In other words, during our lifetime, with behavior like this, what we can expect is nothing more than frustration. If only the ignorant knew the taste of Shabbat, he goes on to say. Sabde sad jane, ta aap pachane. So if you knew the taste of Shabbat, what does that mean? It means if you could just understand and grasp your wisdom, then the ignorant, the ones who are misguided, uninformed, making the same mistakes over and over again. What is this mistake over and over again? It is not being able to perceive that we are not in this alone, that we are part of a huge network, so that all of our actions must be for the betterment of the network. When we don't do that, we are frustrated. But when we understand that, that is called a-sabad-a-day, perceiving the self, then our speech will become nirmal, pristine. We will work without prejudice and hate. Nirmal Bani. Actions will be guided by wisdom, Shabbat, because we will have ingrained self-knowledge within ourselves, and we would harmonize with our surroundings. We are now working for the betterment of our surroundings. You see the difference here. You're no longer this selfish clod that thinks the world owes it or feels entitled that way. Rather, quite the opposite. You feel you are a slave to the larger good. That is why the Guru uses the terminology of a master and slave. And then, of course, it won't matter where you are, because that place is made beautiful where the mind is infused with the self. So than sohaya, jo har man paya, where the mind is integrated at one. And that is the true congregation, within and without, where you reflect on and assimilate divine virtues, har gun gaya. And then andin har salaya, sacha nirmal naad vajavane. Every day, andin, develop the virtues of the self within, har salaya, by listening and paying attention to the pristine wisdom of the Shabbat. Using trading analogy, he's telling us again, do not make false counterfeit investments like the Manmukh does. Manmukh, Khoti Ras, investment capital, Khota Pasara, deceptive trading practices. Don't do that, because you will only reap falsehoods. That is to say, things of no worth. Kood kamavan, dukh lagge para. That's what happens. It's a period of prolonged frustration and sorrow. Parme pule firan din rati. You will wander around day and night, misled, deluded. So in the end, to make the point, the master is dear to me, says Guru Amar Das. The Sabad, the word of the perfect enlightener, is my bedrock. Pure Gur ke sabad-a-day. When the gift of self-knowledge is given, says Nanak, then happiness, unhappiness are treated alike. Nanak naam mile vadiyai, dukh, sukh, sam kar janya. Sam kar janya, they're alike. In other words, you have transcended the world of attachments and aversions. You have risen above them. That's where you want to be. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.